Welcome to the Westminster Effects Doxology Podcast, where we exist for the glory of God and the tone of his people. I'm Cody Fields. Go buy stuff for your guitar at westminstereffects.com. It's windy here at the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference. I'm going to put this back down because I'm not addressing the camera anymore. I'm addressing you. So this is number 4 from this week's conference, and I'm joined by Justin Johnson of Dominion Wealth Strategists. What's up, man?
Yeah. It's been a good conference. It's been hot.
It has
because we're stuck outside.
Because we're outside.
All the sponsors are outside.
You never. It's Fight, Laugh, Feast is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And so this is the setup this year. We're in tents, and because you're the guinea pig, we're knees to knees, and it's weird. Because my phone overheated when I recorded it this time yesterday because it was right in the sun. But, man, here we are.
We'll make it work, yeah.
So, Dominion and wealth, and why should Christians give a crap about wealth? I thought that was bad. Money is the root of all evil, right?
It is. If you're
quote the Bible wrong,
hyper piety, So, we want Christians to be like the faithful steward who didn't bury his talents and multiplied, the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Yes. It can lead to all sorts of bad things.
And,
so it's
not about the love of money, not money itself.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I think, I like to, the counter to that, the way I like to frame it differently is actually like a quote from Tolkien. I think it was Faramir who said something along the lines of, I don't like the arrow for its swiftness or the sword for its sharpness, but I love that which it protects.
Right.
And that's the concept. Money is, it can be a curse if you don't have right way to use it, of course, and especially if you get into certain kinds of bad debt and other things like that, spend poorly. But if you have a rightly ordered, financial portfolio, or you spend wisely, it can become a huge blessing to yourself, to your children, to your children's children. Proverbs says, "Blesses the man who leaves an inheritance to his children's children." Some people have taken that. Even I've heard like weird takes on that from the dispy world of like, well, that means that you shouldn't leave money to your kids, but only your grandkids, so that your kids, like that. The wisdom from that is that you shouldn't leave money to your kids because they'll just want you to die. And it's like, well, if that's the nature of your relationship with your children, then actually parenting is what you should probably focus on with anything else. Right. However, that said, the concept is, no, you have enough and you have been wise enough that you can leave to not just your children, but you got something to leave to the next generation.
Yeah, it wasn't just weekly vacations in Cabo or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's honestly similar to, I believe, Luther on beer and wine said something along the lines of, well, we abuse that. We sin, we mess up with it. But we also abuse women, and we haven't gotten rid of them.
You gotta wait.
Right. Yeah. And so it's the same principle, same concept.
Don't swing the pendulum the other way.
Right.
Because of someone misusing something.
There is a biblical balance of, yes, God blesses with this, and yes, it is a curse if you worship it.
Yes.
If you overemphasize it.
Yeah.
So do the right thing with it. Don't ignore it.
Yeah.
Don't make it everything, but do the right thing with it.
Any idol you place before God in your worship and in your adoration is a curse to you. Yeah. It's not good.
That's everything. Fantasy football teams. Like if you, for one, I don't like it because it ruins the game for me. But your fantasy team, your kids can be.
They could be.
They could be. Literally anything. Yeah. So with money, how does Dominion then help people properly steward that without falling into either ditch?
Yeah, so what we'll do with if a family comes to us and we're working with them, the first thing we do is we just gather information. We just want to know where they are financially. We want to learn more about what their goals are and those types of things. And a lot of people have semi-unrefined goals, or they're squishy, or they're not sure. And so we help them develop a vision, a long-term vision for their finances, for their family's future. And then we help, we provide services and direct them towards services that can help them basically execute that plan. But part of it is just helping them with their vision building and assessing where they are and in helping them see things from a biblical point of view, and also sometimes it's giving them hope where they feel like they're stuck, and sometimes it's other people that have a lot and they don't know what to do with it, and helping them potentially grow it into something far greater and build a plan that actually allows them to pass on, potentially multi-generational wealth or anything like that.
So how often do you run into Christians who they're at least on the verge of teetering over into being the bad servant that buries the talent?
Yeah.
They just want to hold on to that. They are deathly afraid of any kind of risk at all.
Yeah.
How often do you run into that? They know they shouldn't, but that's where they kind of are right now.
It's not super uncommon. It's not every day, but there are quite a few people that we run into like that, and I think that what helps is, and part of it too is they're more like they're doing that, but not out of that same degree of fear that unfaithful steward had.
Right.
I think it's also it's almost a fear of the unknown and just not knowing what to do and who to trust. And so people come to us, there's shared values, so there's a degree of trust, and we build relationships and a rapport. And so that allows us to meet with someone that sort of is in that position. Again, not necessarily out of some like intense fear, but mostly because of like, I don't know what to do with this resource, so I've left a bunch of money in a bank account that's losing value on inflation, basically.
Right.
And they're like, they don't know who to talk to. They don't want to go to, some other, some firm or something like that might not share their values, that they don't trust. They don't know who to trust, who to talk to. And so just having shared values is, I think, a big way that we're able to kind of help people, because they understand that we have the same faith, we have the same values, and we'll help you execute against those values in a trustworthy manner.
Right. I did see, and I'm actually Facebook friends with this guy. One guy chirp in on one of your statuses, like, and he's an R2K guy.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you share my values. I just want you to do a good job. Right. And there is truth to that.
You can do it that way.
You can do it that way. There is truth to that. I would rather, like, if you're doing a bad job, I'd rather go to somebody doing a good job. But that's not what you're up to, right?
Yeah, well, and I think part of it too is helping people with their finances can be a complex topic, and so usually that involves values judgments.
Right.
And so, like, yes, you can do it that way, but you're basically like doing it on your own while having someone execute for you.
Yep.
Instead of someone that's going to be able to take a holistic view of everything you've got going on with your family, your long-term vision and goals.
Right.
That can actually direct you. And the other thing too is life isn't always super cut and dry in finance or anything else.
Yeah.
And so, like, often values come into play, and that person will be giving advice based on their value system.
Right.
And they could be, whether it's chasing a commission or something else. And so, like, that is, it still matters. Like, would you rather work with the I mean, it's funny because we don't think twice about this when it comes to like hiring a plumber or something like that. We're like, and I'm not saying you gotta hire a Christian plumber, but a plumber that at least shares the values of doing good work for you.
Yeah.
And then, like, how much more so when you're talking about a topic like finance that's nuanced, that has more spiritual implications. And repairing your pipes doesn't really have multi-generational impact so much as
usually.
usually. I'm not saying it never could, but often not so much, by comparison. And so, like, there's an apples to apples and an apples to oranges side to that, I guess. But if you want to have someone in your court that's going to be able to help you navigate complex waters, would you rather it be someone that, does good work without sharing your values?
Right.
Well, how do you define good work? Do you find good work by not having values?
Right.
What does that mean?
Right. Yeah, there's so many directions we can go. Where do we want to go right now? Some of this, I think, with the theme of this being education this weekend, a lot of this comes down to poorly educated Christians. I think that silo off the secular world. And really, secular just means that doesn't immediately have to do with going to church. For all intents and purposes. But they've siloed that off completely from their faith, really. And that's never made a whole lot of sense to me.
No, I agree. Yeah, even like along those lines, we've created a curriculum to present at churches for that reason, to provide, because the church isn't necessarily equipped to navigate these waters in most cases. Pastors don't know, about all of these things. Some do because they don't self-study, and they do that in their counseling and stuff like that. But like, we've even built a curriculum that, like, it's a Saturday presentation. You basically do what we do. We do it with you in a group setting, top to bottom, assess everything, and if you want to work with us, we have services to provide. But it's for that purpose that we need to. I guess one thing I want to point out is, like, in America, because of regulations and just because of the complexity of the world we live in, being a faithful steward is much different than an agrarian society from 2,000 years ago.
Right.
Very, very different.
Well, the Bible is it's very much a generalist document.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to know a little bit about a lot of things.
Yeah.
And me being a generalist, I'm all on board.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that generalism recognizes the specializations.
Yeah.
David being a shepherd, right?
Yeah.
He would know a lot more about how sheep work, or
Yeah.
even Jacob. Was it Jacob breeding sheep?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So Jacob breeding sheep, he knows a whole lot more about sheep than maybe someone like Paul, who was
Yeah.
more of a law expert.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so that's where pastors, if you're going to know the Bible, you're going to have to know a little bit about a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But then that's where you can lean on other people in your church or maybe connected to your church
Yeah.
to help inform your people on finance, music, whatever.
Yeah. Whatever the topic may be. Yeah, because it's more complex now than it used to be. That's why, like Dave Ramsey's advice. Not to like spend a whole podcast bagging on him, but like the thing is, like, his advice for building, wealth and things like that is dated. It worked better when he formulated it about 25 years ago.
Right.
It actually was better advice back then. I don't think it was the best advice, honestly, even back then, but it was actually a lot more viable and better at that time. But times have changed, and the consistent theme is it gets more complicated because the economy changes, because the products that are available to us change in their complexity because of regulation. We're more regulated than we've ever been, in that world. And so having someone in your court can be really important. And again, especially if you want to work with someone with shared values, like and part of it too is like, if you want like multi-generational wealth planning or whatever it might be, if you are meeting with someone that has shared values, do you want your kid to work with that person or the guy that will just do a good job?
Right.
Which would you prefer?
Right.
Like the person that is going to be older should be wiser than your child, and we'll be able to help mentor them in that same space, that same subject matter domain, or someone that just does a better job and has very little to no shared values other than that they're generally ethical and not a liar.
Yeah, exactly. Back to Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
He really made, it was a one-size-fits-all thing.
Yeah.
It was debt is bad, period.
Yeah.
As opposed to debt can be a tool, right? Like if you put a down payment on a house and go into debt on a mortgage, which he doesn't have a problem with.
Yes.
He doesn't have a problem with that kind of debt.
No, he doesn't.
Then you do pay less for that house than if you save up for 30 years and then pay cash.
Yeah.
Same thing with other things.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
Yes.
And you're saying there are some people who are going to be more conservative. There are going to be some people who are more aggressive. There are going to be some people who are kind of in between, and you're going to cater your approach to that.
Yeah, that's part of the education. Is,
right.
Some people. Other thing is definition of terms. We have some people that are like, well, I'm not risk tolerant. I'm very low risk tolerance, and it's like, okay, so what do you mean by that? What are you comfortable with? And
I
like,
want a 20% return.
Yeah, every year guaranteed. It's like, well, there's nothing to do that. Nothing will accomplish this for you, and with a guarantee. So like, that often the times those conversations, it's actually like, no, you're actually just as risk tolerant as anybody else, basically. Yeah. It's just that there was all the unknowns, and so then they didn't feel comfortable with it. But when you tease out, like, what do you mean by that? It's like, well, we're not talking about like super speculative, crazy stuff where you're like going all in on, whatever it might be, a speculative business or something like that.
Bitcoin.
Yeah. Or Bitcoin, yeah.
What are your thoughts on crypto?
I think that it can make sense to be part of a family's portfolio. Sure. I wouldn't go all in on it, just like I wouldn't go all in on anything.
Anything, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's general.
S&P 500 or anything.
Yeah, anything. So, like, I think it can make sense. I think that there's a lot of upside potential with Bitcoin long term. It's not going to be like it was, 10 years ago when it was going crazy.
To the moon.
Yeah, like those days are over. But like a lot of other things, it probably has long-term potential to still be viable and useful. And I'm not against it. I'm mostly just against generalized advice of like everyone should have it, or anything like that. Like
it is absolutely going to be the currency of the future.
Yeah,
and if you don't have it, you're a moron.
Yeah, people are saying if you don't have it, you're a moron, or like if you're not buying into it just because you don't understand. By the way, everybody that I've like heard talk like that, well, if you're asking those questions and you just don't understand, I've always asked them like, well, then help me understand. I've never got any I've never got anything like, well, it's too complex or whatever. It's like, you know what? If you can't explain it, then you probably don't understand it either.
They wouldn't want to hear this, but they're actually arguing like liberals at that point.
Yes.
Just, here's a book, do the reading.
Yeah.
As opposed to you.
Yeah.
Here, let me help you understand it better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's basically if you can't explain something in reasonable terms, then you probably lack understanding on the topic as well, or at least shouldn't be speaking authoritatively on the topic.
Right. Which is why I don't speak authoritatively on finance, on Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, I again, like, I like to approach these things with nuance. You know, like, some people they have it, some people they don't. Some people it's suitable for, some people it may not be. It does depend. And in our case, like, anything like that it's a careful conversation of where do you want to go and how tolerant of you of certain types of risks, and what are all of your assets and everything. And like, even like the nuance of debt, you were talking about good and bad debt. Dave Ramsey would probably say that a mortgage is probably kind of a good debt.
Right.
I think to him it'd be more like a necessary evil is the way he contextualizes it.
Probably, yeah.
But like, if you do the analysis on a business loan, and you have you do the risk analysis, you've been careful in what you consider, and you go into debt for a business or something like that.
Yep.
That can be a good use of debt because it has upside potential. You know, you can do the work. You know that the business should be viable. Yes, it's a risk. There's nothing worth doing, honestly, that doesn't have risk.
Right.
But that's not a bad thing. What's a bad debt is going and buying a bigger TV on a credit card that you're not going to pay off that month.
Yeah.
That's an example of bad debt.
Or like a title loan, like loan shark type of stuff.
And the other thing, too, is like the advice to pay off your mortgage as early as possible and throw all your money into that. Well, let's use a simple example. Someone like me, my mortgage is like 2.7% because I got locked in 2021.
Right.
I could put money in a high yield savings account that's going to do almost double that.
Right.
Why? Like, my concern is, and this is something like I reframe regularly for people that I'm meeting with, is my concern is, you're a Christian. I want you to have the highest net worth possible long term.
Right.
That's what I want, because I want you to have independence. I want you to have as much as possible to pass on. I want you to have low risk in the sense of, if something happens to your source of income, you have a fallback, all of those things. And so, like, what gets you to the higher net worth long term?
Yeah.
Putting money into avoiding 2.7% interest, or getting 4.5% back on something that, then, by the way, in that example, is super safe because it's FDIC insured, like backed by the faith of the United States government. And so, like, why would you do that? You can, like, get double. And the other thing that's goofy about that too is houses appreciate in value.
Yeah.
In general. And so you get 100% of that appreciation, whether or not you have a loan on it. Having no loan on it doesn't make it so you get more, you don't realize more appreciation.
Right. Yeah, like it's interesting you bring that up. We had a higher rate mortgage, and we had a family gift come in, and we did pay off our mortgage to get out from under that. And it was just like, oh yeah, this is nice. Yeah. Right. That's different than like getting in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And again, like, I'm not trying to, this isn't like, I'm just using a specific
it's not universal,
example. Yeah. It's a specific example about a specific instance. And so, like, you have to do the math. You have to do the risk analysis. And sometimes it could be useful if, like, I have a mortgage now because I have a more expensive property, but there was a time when I had a much a house that was not worth nearly as much, and we got to a particular year, and my wife and I were like, "There's like $30,000 left on this thing. Let's pay it off this year."
Yeah.
So we just threw a bunch of money at it for several months, and then it was gone.
Right.
Cool. That was nice because it freed up cash. Was that like a bad decision? No, because it kind of like, it was like a way to like instantly lower risk.
Yep.
And like, I was totally cool with that. But someone that's going to grind away for several years at paying their mortgage off early, when you could have put that money somewhere else that might have grown a lot more.
Right.
Which, one, by the way, if you
not that difficult.
If you put it into something that you can cash out on, where it's not tied up or committed, well, you actually could pay off the mortgage earlier because of how it's growing.
Right.
So, like, you might as well do that, but then you also had access to capital along the way, so your risk profile was lower.
Do you think some of this might be tied to how much anti-intellectualism has infected the church in America?
I think it could be. Yeah. I think it's tied to a few things. You got that. You got Gnosticism remnants still in the church, and like, I think this sort of tied to sort of a false like hyper piety.
Yeah.
In a certain sense as well, as like, well, we're not going to engage. You know,
I'm
like,
just gonna let God take care.
Yeah, I'm
of
gonna
it.
let God take care of it. I'm not gonna engage in doing the math. I'm just going to like do the low risk thing and be safe and be like the steward that buried his talents. You know, that's that type of mentality and this Gnostic neglect of the physical world around us.
Mm-hmm.
If God didn't think that it was important, he wouldn't have made it.
Right.
And he would have he wouldn't have built it and said, this is good.
Good. And now use it.
And now take dominion.
Yeah.
God's first command was go take care of the physical world that I have built for you.
Yep.
That was like one of the first things that Adam was commanded.
Yep.
Go forth, multiply, take dominion over the earth.
And it was effectively make the rest of the world like this.
Yeah.
Because the whole world wasn't a garden.
By the way, new heavens and earth,
It's a garden
physical
city.
place.
Yeah.
It's a real place.
Yeah.
It's not a fake.
Yeah.
We're not going to be like these ethereal spirits floating around in nothingness. Like, this stuff matters.
Floating 6 inches off the ground
Yeah, like
and glowing.
it's this weird aesthetic, like Gnosticism and mysticism and that sort of thing. Like, no, this heaven's a real place. The new earth will be a real place. We're in a real place now, and we're commanded to steward it properly.
Yep.
And that requires a level of engagement that some people might not feel willing to do, but don't justify it by hiding behind some of these these old remnants of Gnosticism.
Yeah.
It's throwing Greek philosophy into
All
Christianity.
this is just going to burn, and no, it's not.
Well, that's that's the like dispensationalism 101 right there.
Right.
Like, and so like you have to look at, no, God said take dominion. God said go build my kingdom. God said go make disciples. God, all of these commands by God are men going, taking charge, being faithful, being good stewards, and making a path forward. None of it is let's protect this little thing or let's just blow it because, you know, Jesus could come anytime and rapture us. So like, who cares? You know, the dumb thing that I find about that is like, yeah, if you believe in that whole rapture concept, there's still going to be people left behind.
Yeah.
Like, so is it just like you have no like
They just don't matter.
they don't matter. Like, what's the implication of what you're saying here?
This is one of the spicier things I've ever said on this podcast. But the people who want Jesus to just return immediately,
Yeah.
and don't think any farther than that, it's actually kind of selfish when you really think about it.
Yes.
Because we have 2 billion people who claim the name
Yeah.
of Christ out of 8 billion in
Yeah.
the world. So you want 3/4. You would be perfectly fine with 3/4 of the world immediately right now just going to hell.
Yeah.
I got a problem. It's fine. It's one of the reasons I'm post mill, actually.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get it. Yeah, I totally get it.
I think you're
Yeah.
still on mill, right?
I probably lean mostly on mill.
Okay,
yeah,
fair enough. Yeah.
Mostly because I don't, in my reading of Isaiah, I don't see Jesus coming back to a completely regenerate earth.
Sure.
That's where it. But I mean, honestly, they're effectively not that different in a lot of senses, right? Although
proper
I just,
amillennialism,
pissed off the eschatology matters guys and stuff. But like
when the historical amillennialists would mostly agree with the post millennialists now.
That's my sense as well.
As opposed to like the R2K amillennialists, which is just premillennialism with extra steps.
Yes, yeah, and I think that,
or fewer steps. I don't know.
But the big thing that the common ground there still though is like the Dominion mandate's serious.
It's still there.
Yeah, the Great Commission is serious.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be about.
Right.
And so like we can talk about all that other stuff and debate it, but it is frivolous.
Right.
Like,
it's not just neither the Dominion mandate nor the Great Commission, which you could argue is basically the Dominion mandate 2.0.
Yeah.
It's not just go make converts, go get people to say the sinner's prayer. It's disciple the nations.
Yeah.
Teach them to obey.
Yes.
What did he command? Well, we have a whole lot of Bible before that that tells us
It has
what
a bunch
to
of
obey.
commands.
It has a bunch of commands.
Yeah.
Go do that stuff.
Yeah.
Funny how that works out when you just get consistent, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I think a lot of it comes down to like Christians soothing their conscience with their lack of action.
Yeah.
It's looking for a justification to not engage in the culture wars.
Right.
Looking for justification to not engage in being better stewards and thinking ahead and doing what Christians should be the best at.
Right.
And frankly, a lot of us are not.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people assume culture war equals yelling at people on Facebook over political
Yeah, because
things.
that's definitely accomplished a
Right.
lot. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There was that great,
Hilariously, I do get
revival
people,
of Facebook.
right?
Yeah.
Hilariously, I do get people who will hit me up. I've gotten people like message me 4 years later apologizing for stuff.
I've had that too.
Yeah.
I've had people like block me, cut off contact that I'd been in regular, conversations with, and something like set them off. And I'll get like a message, they'll unblock me like, hey, I'm really sorry. I was in a bad place.
Yeah.
Like I shouldn't have said that stuff. And I usually am like, did I do anything, that wrong, and they're like, no.
No, I'm just dumb.
Yeah,
Me too.
I just needed to figure some stuff out,
Right.
whatever. And then they come back and then we have a renewed friendship.
Right, but it's, culture war is so much more than yelling at people on Facebook,
Yeah.
posting about political things.
Yeah.
I've talked about this so many times, but culture's root is cult or worship. It's a
Yeah.
worship war. Welcome to the Great Commission.
Yeah,
That's literally all it is.
Yes.
So go make culture, engage in culture, and sometimes all you have room for is work your 9 to 5 faithfully, come home and be good to your wife and kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's all you have the bandwidth for, and that's
Yeah.
okay. That's still engaging in it.
But those things that are in front of you, you better do them with excellence.
Exactly.
Yeah. And as a steward of all of these things that God has given you, there are spiritual implications to how we have those interactions, how we work. Not everyone's called to be an entrepreneur and start a business.
Right.
Like that's not everyone's calling. Not everyone's called to do everything. But the things that you are called to do, you are called to do them very well.
Yes, exactly. All right, where can people find you? I'm getting hungry and it's almost time for lunch, so I'm about to lose my train of thought or get hangry, and I don't want to yell at you on Facebook.
You can find us at reformed.money.
Reformed.money,
and,
fantastic URL.
Book a meeting with us there, and we'd be happy to help anyone out.
Fantastic, Justin. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, brother.
Everybody, let me grab this again. Go love God, love your neighbor, makes music. We'll see you next time.